Hey astronauts, this is Brandy and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. I am excited as always about today's reading. Today's reading is what do people secretly appreciate about me? This is what you voted for in the polls, astronaut, and it is finally being given to you. We have 5 files to choose from. 5 piles, tongue twister there for me. 5 files to choose from, as always. And if you would like to get to know me more, all you have to do is check out the links below to my social medias. And we're just going to hop right into it and get started. No announcements for me. So we have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. Don't forget that I go live every weekend. That is either on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Check that out in the community tab where I will post the time that I will be live. Other than that, sit back, relax, and choose. Hey, number 1, let's get started on your reading on what people secretly appreciate about you. We have the 10 of Swords, the 7 of Swords, the Queen of Coins reversed, the Knight of Wands reversed, and the 2 of Pentacles reversed. Interesting. This Sword and Pentacle combo. All right. So, the 10 of Swords is an interesting card because we definitely get it to represent being very, what's the word? It's just in a mental state that can be quite consuming and very frustrating, to say the least. And in some cases, kind of depressing, okay? So I'm going to assume people don't appreciate you being miserable. And I'm going to say that since we have this 10 of Swords and this 7 of Swords combo, then it's more than likely you may be the type of person to, avoid conversations that may come across too heavy. Because the 7 of Swords individual is running away from the 10 of Swords on this card. It's running away from all of the issues and all of the problems and anything that's just very complicated emotionally. The 7 of Swords is like, I don't want to deal with that. I got other things on my plate. I want to focus on something else. Something that is more interesting to me, or maybe something I can throw my mind to, and something I can throw my body into, whatever the case may be. But it's like, I don't want to have to think of those things, okay, essentially. So people may appreciate that you may be the type of person to keep things a little bit more light, okay? They may feel like you're someone who is always acknowledging the fact that, okay, there's an issue right now, but we're going to be able to overcome it. We're going to be able to move past this. It's like the 10 of Swords is like, hey, the worst is behind us. Which is what we get with this 10 of Swords and 7 of Swords combo. The 7 of Swords is like looking over their shoulder and it's just like, okay, it's time to move forward, all right? I know that this is a complex situation, but, we have other things we need to deal with. Or, we really went through a tough time here. Let's just move on and not kind of like hang on to it too much, and let's let go of all of the complicated, serious, stressful emotions that are going on, okay, or mental anguish that could be happening. A good thing that we have here is what they will appreciate about you is that you're willing to have that fresh start, to have a new chapter, to move forward in a different direction. That you can come across very resilient, and yeah, you have been through some harsh realities, some tough times, some really uncomfortable moments, but you let go and you move forward. Ultimately, the Seven of Swords is somebody who is learning from their mishaps or even situations that have happened to them that have been very challenging. The Seven of Swords is known for their cleverness. They are known for their intellect, and they are known for their strategic thinking. So people will really appreciate that you are actually picking up those lessons learned, that you're someone who is not likely to potentially repeat the same thing. For you, it doesn't make sense to keep going around and around in circles. You're like, okay, let me ensure that I don't fall into the same sort of pattern, trap, situation, whatever the case may be. Again, the Seven of Swords, one of the positive things about this card is it deals with discernment. It deals with your ability to make decisions for yourself and being self-reliant. So people really like your sense of independence. People really like the fact that you are a take charge individual. You are somebody who doesn't rely on others to help you. And because we have this Queen of Coins energy, it also makes me think that you may even be a little bit more like hyper independent in a way. Because the Queen of Swords, what happens is when she's upright, you know, she's helping other people are helping her, that she's being supported and things like that. But in the reverse position, the Queen of Swords is more so like, hey, I'm tackling this on my own. Like, I'm the one ruling the kingdom. The king's no longer in charge. I'm here to take over. I may not be receiving all the support, but I'm going to overcome these challenges, and I'm going to deal with the situation the best that I can do. It represents being able to be very, very detail oriented, almost to the point where it seems like you are very particular about things, about how you want things, how you want things, you know, how you want things to look, how you want things to sound, how you want things to be in their place, like almost to maybe an extreme case, you know, OCD. I don't want to get into like psychological diagnosis, but you know what I mean? Maybe like the media version of OCD, where if something's out of place, you're like, let me just fix that really quick. And people will appreciate that you have a lot of focus when it comes to the details, okay? They will appreciate the fact that you, in a way, because you are very particular about how you want things and how you think things should sound, look, you know, things, etc. like that, however message you want to come across, people will feel like, okay, in a way, this person has taken the weight and the burden off of me to have to make all of these decisions, okay? Because you're the one who is kind of like inserting yourself into all of these different roles. The Queen of Coins is a little bit more spread out when she's reversed, and she's taking on a lot of different responsibilities. And like I said, the Queen of Coins reverse can represent not having, you know, that support. So in a way, people sort of like will appreciate that sort of hyper independence that you may come with, okay? But this can also deal with wanting to really focus on your inner world, wanting to focus on elevating yourself, building your own confidence, wanting to be more assured that you are living your life aligned to your own values in a way. Because when we have the Queen of Coins reversed, she's looking inwards. She's looking to, how can I better myself? How can I improve myself? How can I bring more value into myself? It's like you are living up to your own standards that you have set, and it's not really searching for validation for other people, especially when we have this Knight of Swords reversed as well. The Knight of Swords reverse can be someone who is like, all right, let me take a moment to actually think about things. You know, I can be kind of like jumping to conclusions, and maybe I'm talking too much, I'm talking too little, the communication isn't as consistent as it needs to be. But when the Knight of Swords is reversed, they take a moment to pause and say, all right, let me actually figure out what is the best way to get my message across. What's the best way that I can communicate with this individual? The Knight of Swords reversed takes their time. It kind of reminds me of like a Mercury retrograde. Like, let me reread this email 3 times, 2 times before I send it. Heck, let me put it into like ChatGPT and see a professional way to like say this thing to this person before I curse them out, right? It's an energy that is very much like, I actually want to make sure that I'm not communicating too hastily. Now, don't get me wrong, with the Two of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords and the Queen of Coins reversed, you may not always be put together, but people know that you pour in your energy and you really try to make sure that you are doing your best. You're very cautious. You're very calculated. You try to make sure that you are honoring your commitments, that you're being thorough in your communications, thoughts, efforts, whatever the case may be. But it represents having that ability to sort of go back and redo, go back and fix this, go back and make sure that everything is aligned in the way. Like the Queen of Coins reverse can definitely be someone who is a bit of a perfectionist. And the Knight of Swords reversed as well. You know, they'll spend like, you know, 2 hours looking at a text message and say, oh my God, what's the right way that I need to respond to that? And they might message their friends and say, this person said this to me, what should I say to them? And the person's like, I don't know, what do you want to say to them? They're like, I don't know, can you give me some advice? Like, so they're mulling things over, they're thinking of the best way to respond, and they're trying to communicate in a way that is going to lead to positive outcomes. Okay, so that's something that people will really, really appreciate about you, that you take your time with them. You take your time communicating, you take your time explaining, you take your time going over the details, you take your time when it comes to, oh my gosh, I want to get a gift for this person. Let me make sure I get the right gift. Let me make sure, you know, look at everything that they like. Let me figure out what kind of jackets that they have worn before I bought them a jacket. Is it the right color? Is this the right fit? Is this the right size? Like, very much like very in tune with trying to get everything in order, okay? But one thing that we also have here, because when we have the Two of Coins reversed in this way, quite oftentimes the Two of Coins reversed can be a lack of balance. So it makes me think that people will like the fact that you're someone who can always call, you can always call on them. You know what I mean? Like the Two of Pentacles reversed, if it were upright, this would be saying, hey, you know, I have my work life, I have my personal life, and, you know, when I check out from work, I check out from work, and that's that, you know. But when it's reversed like this, it kind of says that you will be someone who will go the distance, who will put in the extra effort, who will go the extra mile. In a way, it's like you never log off, whether that's being from work or maybe like a friendship or a relationship. You know, sometimes you have friends who are just like, hey, you know, I need a moment, I need a break, like I'll see you in a couple of weeks or a month or whatever the heck, I just need some time to myself. But for you, with this Two of Coins reverse, it can say, hey, you can always call on me. You can always count on me. I'll always be there to talk to you. Like, you extend yourself maybe even beyond what you need to even do. And people will appreciate that about you. They're like, wow, this person always shows up for me. This person is always like my go-to. They're always trying to problem solve with me and work things out and help me figure out situations. Like, you're someone who is really making sure that you are putting in that extra effort into your relationships. When I can see this here, sometimes I see this combination to be someone who is a little bit more of a giver than they are someone who is receiving back to them. So people may feel like, wow, this person is so generous. They've given me so much. they kind of like do this thing for me and that thing for me. This person is always there to rely on. So people will like the fact that you are someone who is in a way like being very much giving more energy out than possibly receiving. They feel like you're just a giving person. So I can get that with this Two of Swords and Queen of Pentacles. I say pentacles, I mean coins, pentacles, they're the same thing. This Two of Coins and this Queen of Coins, this is what I get for this combination. It's like I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm giving more than I'm taking. I'm not even asking for anything back. So people will like that about you. Okay? So when we keep all of this in mind, you know, obviously don't burn yourself out to please other people. Don't, you know, overextend yourself. Now, this is if this is something that you want to do, then, you know, go ahead and keep doing it. If this resonates with you, that is. But if this is not something that you're like, oh, I'm kind of tired of this, just kind of pull away from it. People will still love you. They will still care for you. They'll still think you are amazing. Okay. And then also, when we have this combination here, for some of you, as I mentioned before, with the Two of Pentacles, you know, reversed in a way, there's that lack of balance I've also seen with work and personal life. And so these two things can blend over, meaning maybe your coworkers will like your dating life stories. Maybe your coworkers will love to hear about, you know, your vacations and your trips and your friendships or any drama that you may have be going on. You definitely have seen people who like to express themselves at the office in a way that you may think, oh, this might be something that they should probably keep personal, but they, you know, bring it into the office. I've been there. I think everyone has been there enough, because if you spend enough hours at work, I'm sure something personal will come out, right? But but they feel like you're the person who's always got something to share that's very interesting. That may be even something that is, like I said, part of your personal life that you are sharing with other people, and you may be even bringing that into like a work environment. That's quite possible for some of you, and people will like that because they find it interesting, and they think, they're like, oh, I get to know a little bit more about you on a personal level, and that's something that I find to be enjoyable. Okay. And then the last time when I get this Queen of Coins and the Knight of Swords and the Two of Pentacles, there may be a smaller percentage of you where, even though you're a hard worker, there's going to be times where you're just like, I've had it. I've just had it. And today we're just goofing off. Like today we're not doing any work. Today we're having fun. Today we're just enjoying ourselves. Like, it's no longer about like the work anymore. You just peace out and you're just like checked out for the day. Because when the Queen of Coins reverse checks out, she checks out. She's like, I'm not doing any work today. I don't care. Knight of Swords is like, I'm not even paying attention. I don't know what you just said. Two of Pentacles is like, it's all about the fun. It's all about the fun. Like, I don't want to hear it. So people will just like that about you, that you have these moments that you're just like, I'm tired of the work. Let's just kick it today. Like, let's just have some fun. Let's just relax. Let's not do anything. Let's not have these intense responsibilities. Let's not do our chores right now. I don't want to do the dishes. Let's go to the movies. Let's go on a bike ride. Let's go hiking. Let's go roller skating. Like, you're just like, I just want to go. Like, you have these moments where you're just like, I'm just gonna kick these responsibilities to the side. And people are just, they don't know when to expect it. And so they're just like, oh, wow, this is different. You know, I get to see, you know, side two of you. Okay. And I like that. So that is what I have for you, pal number one. These are the things that people really, really appreciate about you. That you definitely have this duality to you. That you can be someone also like the Two of Pentacles, because it's like a lack of balance. You could just like, let's just spend my money. Let's just go broke. Let's go out all night. Let's buy shots for this person, buy shots for that person. Like, it's that type of energy. So people may like that about you, that you can be sort of like, if you are impulsive with your finances, then Yeah, people will like that about you. Like, I just went on a shopping spree. I just bought this thing. And people are just like, wow, you are always doing something wild, buying something like amazing and interesting, and telling me about some random thing that you've done. And people will just really enjoy that. So that is what I have for you. And finally, I'm saying au revoir. Hey, pal, number 2, let's get started on what people secretly appreciate about you. We have the 8 of Wands, the Page of Pentacles, we have the 2 of Cups, we have the Emperor, and we have the 4 of Wands. Very interesting spread that we have here. So, right away, what we see, what people appreciate about you is the fact that you seem to be very good at holding conversations, having interesting things to say, being someone who maybe even, I'm going to say you're somewhat direct, maybe not all the time, but when we get the Emperor here and the 8 of Wands, I get that to be someone who is pretty straightforward with what they have to say and what they have to communicate. So people will like the fact that you can be very honest and very blunt, and maybe you're not the most like super eloquent, amazing communicator out there, but for the most part, people feel like you speak your mind, you are honest with what you have to say, and you bring in valuable input when it comes to conversations and interacting with you, or even at work in some cases. People feel like you are the type of person who is really great at creating relationships and being harmonious with other people. They feel like you put in a lot of effort to make sure everyone is being heard, everyone's having a good time. The 4 of Wands is all about celebrating and being happy and feeling together and feeling like, it's just a good time for everyone involved, okay? And there's a sense of stability here, so that's why it's also connected to sort of like, marriage and things along the lines of that. But it's representing like a happy milestone, like a point in life where you're just like, wow, this is great. We've really worked hard for this, and we've reached some sort of pinnacle. So when we have the Emperor before this card, and the Emperor represents somebody who is also stable, who is also focused, who is another 4 energy, this 4 energy here, who is also somebody who can be authoritative and represents putting in like hard work, effort, being the boss, taking control, being empowered. People will secretly appreciate the fact that you are somebody who empowers other people and celebrates their wins. And you probably celebrate your own as well. But for the most part, people really like that you seem genuine when it comes to congratulating others. You're not someone who is, bitter or jealous. If someone tells you like, oh my gosh, I just got a promotion, you're like, woo, go ahead. Like, you worked hard, like you are there to celebrate. And not everybody is there to celebrate other people's victories or wins. Like, I remember when I was in the pandemic and I was doing a lot of like online groups and things along the lines of that. And I saw this pattern of quite a few people, like they would talk very negatively about other people in a very like jealous manner. And it was just like, not a good vibe for me. So one way they would bond was to like, pick a common target, sort of like Wicked, right? Where the whole movie is just like, pick a common enemy. It doesn't really matter if they've done anything wrong. Like, this is how we're going to be united. That's the kind of energy these groups gave. And because they were doing all of that, obviously they were talking about bad about certain celebrities who are also people, talking bad about like, maybe somebody in the news or something like that, or somebody who's been out there, etc., things like that. And so for me, I thought that was a little bit off, because I'm the type of person who is maybe similar to yourself, likes to celebrate other people's wins, like to celebrate people who are accomplished, feels inspired by those who are ambitious, and also encourages those around you to follow their dreams, to get what they want, to have their own sense of happiness. Another thing that people will appreciate about you is the fact that you can come across as very consistent and very stable. 4 energies are always about security. They're always about making sure that you have a solid foundation, that you aren't being unbalanced, that you are in a place that feels like, all right, I'm comfortable and I can sit here. Think about how there are 4 legs of a chair creating stability. That is you. That person who's just like that rock, that structure. So people will feel like, okay, I know what to expect with this individual. I know I can count on them. I don't have to feel like they're going to flake on me or something along the lines of that. This is a person of their word. This is a person who says that what they're going to do and then they go ahead and do it. They feel like you're somebody who is very action oriented and someone who can always be responsible. Okay, that is essentially it. There's a high level of responsibility when it comes to your personality. When we also have this 8 of Wands, 8 of Wands can represent completion as well. It represents things sort of like coming full circle, being wrapped up, as well as obviously speed, momentum, progress. So people at work, more than likely, if you have a job or something along the lines of that, will like that you get things done quickly. If you're somebody who texts or calls, people will like that you call them back quickly or text them back quickly. You know, as soon as you see the text, you reply. They feel like, okay, this person is a speedy texter. Some people, you won't hear from them for weeks and they pop up, you know, very much an avoidant attachment style, right? Versus you're like on it. You're like, oh my gosh, I see your text. I'm messaging you, da 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 da. You're also the type of person who will reach out, who will start conversations, who will say, hey, look at this thing. Oh my gosh, this thing's amazing. Like, you're sending those tweets, TikToks, Instagram reels, like you were probably sending memes, whatever the case may be. You're reaching out to people. You may even be that person who just goes around telling people like, you know, happy birthday. Like you saw the little birthday thing on the work, whatever, email and announcements. And you're just like, oh my God, let me send them a little happy birthday, or like, hey, happy birthday, this person. Like very much like, let me reach out. Let me say something. Let me be proactive when it comes to interacting with people. There's not a lot of shy energy here, minus the Page of Pentacles. Sometimes the Page of Pentacles is shy, but at the end of the day, the Page of Pentacles is a messenger, so they have to communicate. It's just part of their nature. It comes with the job, right? So people will like the fact that you are friendly, approachable, that you are really good at building relationships, that you ask them personal questions, maybe not like deep personal questions, but like, you know, personal questions about their life. Like, how was your weekend? Did you do anything great? Like, you know, how have your kids been doing? How's your husband been doing? How's your wife doing? Like, oh, I really like your hair. You know, your nails look really great. Like you're good at keeping this flow and casual conversation, as well as, you know, probably keeping up to date with them. Like, oh my gosh, I heard you ran a marathon. How was that? Like just good at the good conversation. And people really appreciate that you remember these small things about them and their conversations, and you remember to like keep up with them and just sort of like check back in with them and keep things going. Like you keep the communication flowing, and that's something that is very important. People will also feel like if you're somebody who is like a world traveler, they will like the fact that you give pretty good tips when it comes to where to travel to, or if you travel to that location, what to do there, where to stay, what to eat. Like you'd be really good with these type of tips, and they feel like they're very useful, they're very practical, and you make sure that you look out for people and make sure that they have a good time. So people will really, really love that about you, pal number 2. The last thing I want to say is that people feel like there is a well-balanced give and take when it comes to the connections and relationships that you are forming. Okay? They feel like you're someone they can trust. They feel that you trust them. They feel that they have a strong emotional bond with you. They don't feel like you are being fake or inauthentic. They think, oh, you're being very genuine with them. You're being very honest with them. You're being very blunt with them. And then you come from a place where it just feels like there's an element of relatability to you, is what I want to say. People feel like you have possibly a sense of humor about you that feels relatable, or even maybe you have some habits that that people are kind of like, oh my God, I do the same thing. Maybe you've heard people say that frequently with you or something along the lines of that. But I say that because we have this Page of Pentacles and this Two of Cups there. And that can represent like having similar habits, or having similar like routines or schedules or things that you like to do, and people will secretly appreciate you for that because it feels very validating when you speak about like the things that you like to do, or even some thoughts that you may have. People may feel like, oh my gosh, I think the same, I feel the same way, I do the same thing. Like that's something that people will secretly appreciate about you. I feel like though sometimes people will say that one out loud, you know. I don't know if they'll expand on it or what level they're expanding on it, but I feel like that's something that they're probably being a little bit more vocal about. But yeah, ultimately, they love that you are somebody who is going to invite them to have a good time. You're open to company. You are someone who is not very cliquey. You like to meet new people. And you are always progressing forward. You're not stagnant. There's a lot of growth to you. So that is what I have for you, pal number 2. Feel free to let me know if this resonates. If not, you know, you can feel free to choose a new pile, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget to check out the community tab, and you can vote on what type of reading you would like next. I go live Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and that time will be posted by Tuesday night. And leave me a comment. Let me know how it was. I love reading your comments. I read every single one, and au revoir. Pile number 3, let us get into the question of what do people secretly appreciate about me. We have the Ace of Cups. We have the Ace of Cups again. All right. We have the 5 of Coins. We have the Hierophant. And we have the Fool. Wow. All right. Move that over some. So one thing that people appreciate about you, pile number 3, is that you seem to come across as somebody who is very expressive. When I see this Ace of Cups twice, the Ace of Cups sort of deals with all of the emotions, whether that is good emotions or bad emotions. The Ace of Cups is generally just a flood of emotions. I'll say that. So people will feel like you're someone who can be open, who can be sensitive, who can be expressive, like someone who wears their heart on their sleeve in a sense with this Ace of Cups energy. Not only that, but since we have this double Ace of Cups, we do know that more than likely that you are somebody who is highly intuitive, someone who can be very giving, very nurturing, someone who possibly has a lot of empathy, and even someone who has a lot of emotional fulfillment within their lives. You know, this is someone who is more than likely, you're not coming across as someone who, what's the word? I guess I'll say who's empty or something. You know, sometimes people can maybe be drained or be going through a tough time, or there's just something there that's just like not right or something, but that's not you. This is just more so like they feel like you're so full of life, you know. When you're sad, you're sad. When you're happy, you're happy. Like they just feel you are somebody who is so immersed in the world around you, and that you allow yourself to fully express yourself the way you need to be expressed. It's a very open like quality. And the interesting thing is that we have this 5 of Coins. And when we think about the 5 of Coins, this can represent sort of like this feeling of have not. All right, this feeling of I'm lacking something, I'm unprotected, I don't have a sense of security. And I don't believe that they're saying something along the lines of like, oh, you're insecure and that's what we appreciate about you. No. If you think about the Five of Pentacles, it's, like I said, it's a lack of security. So what that means is, what people appreciate about you is that you're unguarded. You express vulnerabilities. If you think about the Five of Pentacles, what's more vulnerable than being kind of out there on the street left to the elements? You know what I mean? That's an extremely vulnerable position to be in. So because of your openness and your willingness to express yourself, people feel like you are somebody who is very vulnerable, who's very honest, who's very open. And people will like that about you. They like that feeling with you, that you are sharing these deep emotions. And not only that, but when we talk about the Ace of Cups, this can represent that you're willing to emotionally support someone who's going through a hard time. One thing that is on the Five of Pentacles that I've seen is it kind of represents the lack of the material world, right? So it has to do with more of things that money can't buy. Okay, so it's like I'm representing things that money can't buy, such as love and connection and fulfillment through partnerships and relationships and self-love and things along the lines of that. So people feel like you have an openness to love about you. You have an openness when it comes to care, when it comes to nurturing, when it comes to ensuring that, you know, not only are you leaning on others, but you allow others to lean on you. So that's something that people will really appreciate about you. They really appreciate that support and that connection. Okay. And because the Ace of Cups represents new things, and we got it twice, it lets me know that people feel like you are very much open to fresh ideas, new opportunities, fresh perspectives. You are always willing to discover new passions, meet new people. It's very much like people feel like they can introduce new ideas, concept shows, like, hey, look at this interesting book that I read, and you're open to hearing about it instead of just being very dismissive. Like some people can be like that. Like they can say, oh, what kind of podcast do you listen to? And you say, oh, I like to listen to this podcast on plants. And they're just like, well, I only listen to NPR. Like they might be dismissive and shut it down, right? So you're not like that. You're someone who's willing to hear what people have to say. You're someone who is open to the world of possibilities that could be out there, because the Ace of Cups is always like, wow, that's something I never heard about. Maybe that's something I could sink my teeth into, possibly a new interest. I'm willing to try. And if I like it, I like it. And if I don't, I don't. But you have that energy about you. Okay. And as I mentioned before, because the Five of Pentacles represents things that money can't buy. And then also we have the Hierophant, which is connected to Taurus, the house of self-esteem. People feel like you are somebody who possibly has a lot of emotional abundance within them. You know, if I had gotten the Five of Pentacles alone, or if this was something, another type of reading or question, then maybe I would say, okay, then this is something with insecurity. But since it's surrounded by these other cards, and the question is what they appreciate, is the fact that people appreciate that you are someone who is willing to share their insecurities. You're going to be open about it. But at the same time, you do know your worth as a person, and you're not someone who is going to neglect themselves. When we have the Hierophant and the Fool, once again, we have this newness here coming in with the Fool card, this openness to adventure, this openness to learn, and the Hierophant is a teacher. So it's very interesting how people feel like they really appreciate that quality so strongly within you. And not only that, but not only is the Hierophant a teacher, but he is also a student as well. So you serve as somebody who can guide others, as well as being that person who is a great listener and open to new ideas and learning. People will like that you have that sense of adventure about you. That you're someone who can be spontaneous, crack jokes, be unpredictable, be someone who is willing to make a bold move, take risks, take chances. I mean, that's I think a very strong aspect of your personality that people will appreciate. Because too often, especially possibly in the business world or in a classroom environment or in some sort of structured, institutionalized environment, people can be afraid of change and transformation, and they don't see that with you. They feel like you're someone who looks something new and different in the eye, and you're just like, let's try it. Let's go for it. Let's do it. Like, let's jump right in. And I mean, really jump right in, because when you think about the Five of Pentacles, it comes from that Four of Pentacles, that place that was so tight and so scared to take a risk. And then when they take a risk, obviously, you know, they end up in a predicament. But then the next card after that is the Six of Pentacles. So the risk pays off, you know. It's kind of like starting a business in a way. When you first start a business, you invest a lot of money. And as everyone knows, when you first start a business, most people lose money. They end up in this Five of Pentacles. And then as they learn more, they gain more knowledge, they gain more stability, they start to gain money. Okay, so people feel like because you are someone who is willing to take risk and take chances, you have more opportunities for success, possibly even financial success, or just success when it comes to, I don't know, creating a stable community, creating a stable environment for yourself, having strong values, having strong boundaries, because knowing your boundaries depends upon the risk and the circumstances that you have been through, because you can't completely know all of your boundaries if you haven't experienced certain aspects of life, or you haven't been in situations, or you haven't had certain conversations, etc. like that. If you've gone nowhere and done anything, how could you know your boundaries? So people feel like they appreciate the fact that you are somebody who has their own unique values and boundaries. One thing that I want to say about this is when we have the Hierophant and the Fool, we have Uranus and Taurus. And I did a whole video on Uranus and Taurus. But one thing that I see with this combination is overall, it represents sort of like innovation when it comes to education. And what I mean by that is that people will appreciate the fact that you can learn from a lot of different avenues, and you don't get stuck on one piece of information. Once new information comes in, you're like, okay, let me reevaluate and readjust my own personal values and thought processes on the way that I see certain things. You know, you could have a strong belief that, I don't know, that being vegetarian is okay, but being vegan is wrong. No, maybe opposite. Being vegan is okay, but being vegetarian is wrong, right? But then maybe you have some new information coming in about like why certain people need to be vegetarian instead of vegan and things along the lines of that. And so you reevaluate your stance. And that's that Uranus, the Fool, and the Hierophant type of vibe here. It's all about, if I get new information, I reevaluate and I readjust. And not only that, but it has to do with wanting to educate others, because Uranus is connected to Aquarius, which is the masses. So you see generally an uplift when it comes to education, especially even now. I know our education system has taken so many hits in America, like over the past couple of years, but generally since Uranus has entered Taurus in Western astrology, I want to say, it actually has led to better things within the education systems. As I said, there's more awareness in when it comes to healthcare, mental health. Like that was not even on the agenda as frequently or as pronounced before Uranus went into Taurus. And there's lots of conversations when it comes to student loans and the feasibility of college and general. Okay, so these conversations are being had more frequently, and not only that, but you have more people taking on more remote roles when it comes to how they work. And I want to emphasize that the Hierophant connected to Taurus is connected to money. And so when you have the Fool here bringing in new innovation and new ideas connected to money, you have things like remote jobs. So people may also feel like, wow, this person is accepting of new innovative ideas. They're all for people having hybrid environments, work environments. They understand that other people have different preferences than them. So people will appreciate your openness in that manner. I don't know what it is, but people really like the openness about you. That's something that people are really, really kind of like sticking to and saying they value that, and they like that you're accepting, and they like that you're open-minded and you're willing to hear them out on what they have to say and new perspectives. That is like your strongest trait that people are loving. So that is what I have for you, pal number 3. I don't know how to expand on that anymore. They also may just like your voice in some sort of manner. I just want to say that. But, you know, that's that's something that I want to throw out there when it comes to that. But yeah, people really, really like that openness quality to you. All right. So let me know if that resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pal, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. But either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Feel free to leave your comments below. I'm going to read them. I'm going to read them all. And just letting you know that I go live Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, unless something has gone terribly wrong, or maybe my week's just really busy. But you could check out the time that I go live. I post it every Tuesday to let everyone know when I will be live on the weekend. And also you can poll and see what kind of reading we may have next, and enter your opinion on what type of video there will be. But that is what I have for you, my lovely astronaut. If you're not an astronaut, become an astronaut. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal number 4, let's get into what people secretly appreciate about you. We have the 10 of Pentacles, the 7 of Cups, the 8 of Swords, the Star, and the Ace of Wands. All right. Make sure that looks, there we go. So, what people secretly appreciate about you is, number 1, they view you as being somebody successful. Someone who takes charge of what they want in their life and who has achieved it. They feel like you're somebody who's put a lot of effort and time into accomplishing your goals, or to gaining a positive reputation, especially with the Star card here. They feel like you're somebody who is very inept socially, somebody who has a great amount of social skills, meaning you come across very friendly, very approachable, very much someone that people feel like they can hang around with. You have to remember the Star card is connected to Aquarius when it comes to astrology, tarot, etc., whatever. And Aquarius is the card of friendship. It is a card of large groups and connecting audiences to creators and things along the lines of that. So they may feel like you have a way with the crowd. You have the way of presenting yourself. Maybe you're really great at public speaking, or giving presentations, or working in large groups, or, you know, talking to large amounts of people, whatever the case may be. But people feel like you are a people person, which is very interesting, because we have this 8 of Swords energy, and the 8 of Swords can be a very, very shy, a little bit withdrawn individual. So you yourself may feel like you aren't that person, But people are seeing that within you, which is very interesting. So they secretly appreciate that you understand that, hey, it takes a lot of courage or even effort to be able to talk and communicate with a lot of people in a way that is a positive, approachable, friendly, but excitable manner. But at the same time, they, I guess they appreciate the fact that you are someone who's willing to sort of like overcome that challenge for yourself time and time and again. They recognize that there are parts of you that just doesn't want to always have to deal with people all the time, but you do it anyway, and you come up with a lot of energy. It just reminds me of those people who are constantly smiling all the time, or smiling through a bad situation to make other people feel more comfortable or at peace, or like everything's going to be okay. You give across this energy that just everything's going to be fine, everything's going to work out, and you keep calm. Calm in the storm is what I want to say with this Star card and Ten of Pentacles energy. You come across as a rock, like somebody people would go to in a time of chaos. And it's interesting because in Vedic astrology, the Star card connected to Aquarius, there's a placement called Shravana. And Shravana is this placement that is seen as having a lot of authority, going through a lot of trials and tribulations, especially things that can be very mentally taxing for quite a long period. It's just a placement that happens if you have Shravana placement. There's a reason why in Vedic astrology they have this concept of Sati Sati when Saturn comes across the moon. And Vedic astrology, having your placement in Shravana, which is a moon ruled placement in a Saturn ruled nakshatra. So it's a combination of Saturn and moon again. So what it does is it brings a heavy load of responsibility to the person under this influence, and it makes them have to take on like the burdens of other people and essentially be strong for other people, which is why you will see a lot of Shravana people be leaders. And I should say they connect to Aquarius in Western astrology, but in Vedic astrology they fall under what's the word? Capricorn. My goodness, my brain's getting all scrambled. But yes, essentially that energy of Shravana is kind of like what people appreciate about you. That you're the person that people can go through when they're having a hard time, when they feel like they are losing their mind, when they feel like they are spiraling or crashing out. Like you're the person that they open up to or talk to about, which, you know, maybe for you can be a little bit tiring, but what they appreciate about you is you never give off that energy. You never kind of snap back and say, hey, I'm tired of your BS right now. Like, or unless you get to like a breaking point. But for the most part, you hold back on the criticisms and you come across as being more accepting, more caring, trying to uplift people and trying to make them understand their worth, and that they are just going through a hard time right now, but they can overcome it. So you come across very balanced, very harmonious. And not only that, but there is the Ace of Wands here. And the Ace of Wands is a very excitable and enthusiastic card. It's a card representing having a great time, being able to be spontaneous, being able to be someone who is ready and up for an adventure. Why can't I speak right now? Ready and up for an adventure. So people will love the fact that you are open to trying new things, that you're somebody who doesn't let life put you in a box. You're willing to go the distance, try something new, talk to different people, go to different locations. You are motivated, you are ambitious, you're passionate, and you have this sense of enthusiasm about you that gets other people excited. I know you get other people excited because we have the Star card right next to the Ace of Wands. So it's like you're able to excite lots of people, maybe with the way you describe things, maybe with the way that you do things, or that you live your life in such an energetic and beautiful way that people are just like, oh my gosh, I want to live my life like that. I want to do this thing too. I see this person going off and walking across a tightrope. I want to try walking across a tightrope too. So your sense of adventure is what people truly, truly appreciate about you. You are somebody who's like, let's go, let's take action, let's just get fired up inside, okay, about all the things that are possible in the world. And it's kind of interesting because there's another pile that's kind of similar in a way, similar but different, because we have this Seven of Cups energy. And when we have the Seven of Cups energy, within this combination, it's representing being someone who is very aware of all the possibilities that are out there, who is willing to accept the fantastical, who may even have like a connection to the spiritual world or the spiritual plane. And maybe you're not always as open about it, but when you are open about it, you excite people. You know, maybe you're the person who you don't always talk about astrology or tarot or things along the lines of that, but then when people start like throwing that subject out there, then you kind of like speak your mind, and it kind of gets people a little bit more intrigued. It gets them excited. It gets them wanting to go towards this metaphysical world and the possibilities that are out there that are not connected to the material. So people feel like you have a good balance of being grounded in the material world, but at the same time, you are open to the realm of possibilities of what is out there, even if you're not always as open about it. And the thing about the Eight of Swords is somebody who watches what they say around other people, who a little bit holds back on everything that they want to put out there. You don't always speak what's on your mind. You don't always just come out with everything that you want to say. And people will appreciate that you hold back some, because maybe they're a little bit sensitive and you recognize that and you pick up on that intuitively, because the Seven of Cups is someone who is very intuitive, who is very connected to the emotions of others. They have a lot of empathy towards them, or they're very good at reading a room or reading body languages and things like that. I know it's a very dreamy card, but at the same time, when we have all of these cups, it obviously represents being able to be attuned to other people as well, as cups kind of represent that intuitiveness and the ability to connect with others in an emotional way. So people will feel that you're somebody who is very much a creative person, somebody who enjoys the world of fantasy and imagination and creativity, someone who can be very accepting of other people, but at the same time, with this Eight of Swords, maybe there's a little bit of mystery to you. Maybe there's just a lot that things that you don't talk about, so people may feel like, oh my gosh, this person, I feel like they're holding back on some stuff, and that intrigues me a little bit. I find that to be very interesting. And I also appreciate that they don't, you know, come at my neck if I make a mistake, or they aren't very critical of me, or they don't come across like they're, you know, attacking me or wanting to bully me or things like that, because the Eight of Swords is somebody who's a little bit more shy and reserved and not going to throw out everything like that. So people really, really appreciate that when it comes to you. They love that you have a strong sense of direction. They like your spontaneity and your ability to jump and go for it and to have these big dreams out there. And they like that you are, you know, not giving away all of your cards at once. You're not just talking about, I want to do this thing and that thing. You kind of do it first, and then you let people see the results of what you have done. And people will feel like that is what's led you to having so much success and having a good head on your shoulders and being very down to earth and grounded at the same time, being someone who is, like I said, willing to open up their mind to what is possible and what is out there. And then we also get the Seven of Cups, as I mentioned before, with another deck, to represent sort of like temptation in a way. And temptation can sort of mean like indulging yourself in like the pleasures and the enjoyable things of life. I've gotten the Seven of Cups to represent buffets and things along the lines of that. So people will like the fact that you are maybe not super health conscious, right? You have people who are very health conscious, and they can make other people who are not as health conscious, or at least they don't make them, but people who are not as health conscious, well, some of them make them. People who are not as health conscious may feel like, oh my gosh, this person is always going on about salads and hitting the gym and, you know, being on the elliptical and how they got to have the perfect look and be together. With the Seven of Cups, that's just like, let's just relax and have fun. Let's eat a burger. Like, let's have some snacks. Let's have some Doritos. Like, let's not worry about things like that. Let's just enjoy our life. Like, that's the Seven of Cups type of energy. We don't have to be restrictive. We can just enjoy what we have here. So people will like the fact that you are non-judgmental in that way of having a good time. Let's have a drink. Let's have 3 drinks. Let's have 4 drinks. Like, it's like, let's keep the party going. Let's have the fun. So people will like that about you. Okay. And then I guess the last thing that I want to say here with the 8 of Swords is I get the 8 of Swords to be someone who can be a little bit more quiet in conversation. So what can happen here is that you may be someone who is a good listener when we have this combination of cards. When we see this coming along here, it can represent being someone who knows when to speak and knows when not to speak, and someone who relies on their inner guidance in order to navigate conversations and, you know, work, business, whatever the case may be. And people may also enjoy the fact that you may have sort of like a playful sense of humor. What happens with the 8 of Swords is sometimes it can represent victim mentality, like, oh, how could this happen to me? Why are people bullying me? Things like that. But I feel like you do that in a way that's kind of like fun and playful and just like making fun of yourself in a little bit, in a way. Because the 8 of Swords can be like self-deprecating humor, especially if it's like next to the star, because the star can be connected to entertainment as well. And so people may like that about you. Like, oh my gosh, I did that. That was so awkward. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. That was a little bit strange. And so it's like this way of like sort of making fun of yourself that people will enjoy that sense of humor of just like not trying to, it's a way to make people not feel like they are insecure or something like that. Like you're in a way poking fun of yourself. To sort of like poke fun of like your flaws or something like that. Or just oftentimes we can get the 8 of Swords to represent feeling a sense of self-doubt. And so people may like that sense of vulnerability within you as well. So being able to be open about areas in which you feel uncomfortable or insecure in will make them be like, oh wow, I really appreciate that you said that because I've been feeling the same way about that. So that is what I have for you, pile number 4. Hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pile, or maybe I'm about to read it for you. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget to check out the community tab where you can vote on the poll of what's going to happen next, what kind of reading we're going to do. And I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And you can catch me then. The time will be posted by Tuesday as always. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal, number 5, let's get started on what people secretly appreciate about you. We have the Chariot, we have the Devil, we have the 7 of Cups, we have the Sun, and we have the Page of Cups. Wow, interesting. So, with the Chariot and the Devil here, it makes me feel like something that people really appreciate about you is that you more than likely have this sense of strong willpower. Because we know that the Devil represents things that can be addictive or things that you can be obsessed with or things that are just really unhealthy for you. And obviously the Chariot represents victory over those things. It represents being able to overcome all of the obstacles that are thrown your way and feeling like a champion, So there's something about you that maybe that you've been a person who's been able to tame their vices, or at least some of their vices, that you're somebody who, even if you are in a circumstance that is unhealthy, whether that is a relationship, a job, or even just a relationship that you have with yourself, all of those behaviors where we can self-sabotage, people really appreciate that you have been able to overcome such challenging circumstances. In a way, they find it very inspirational, the same that we do when we see these underdog stories in the media or, Hollywood or something like that. There's a sense of like, wow, this person was able to overcome those circumstances and come out on top. So people are, in a way, inspired by the fact that you have gone through so many trials and tribulations, and you don't let that get you down. And we know that you don't let that get you down because we have the Sun card here. So they still see that light within you, that shine that you have, that glow that you have. Yeah, you may go through periods of lull where you don't always feel so great, where you feel a little bit down or in a muck or something along the lines of that. But overall, you have a strong sense of determination and focus. You're somebody who, no matter what odds are stacked against you, you are willing to put in the effort to overcome that. Okay? That is something people really, really appreciate about you. And they find it to be or amazing, or, something that's just like, wow, this person is really incredible, that they are able to handle so much and that they have gone through so much and they just keep going. Okay? And something that I get about this combination of the Chariot and the Devil in general is it can mean that you are somebody who can challenge authority. Like, you don't back down from a fight. You're like, I don't care who this person is. I don't care, what status they have, what money they have, like whatever the case may be, what power that they may have. You're saying, I'm going to tackle them anyway. I'm going to challenge them anyway. I'm going to take on this feat anyway, because it's what I want to do, or if it's the right thing to do, or something along the lines of that. Because the Sun card, especially within astrology, can have to do with morals and goodness and righteousness in a way. So it makes me think that people feel like you have a strong sense of justice and, always feeling like you need to expel bad forces within your life. And you may even encourage others to do the same. You're the type of person people feel that you encourage them to not accept bad treatment. You're a type of person who will more than likely have strong boundaries. One thing that's good about the Devil card, which we don't talk about enough, is it will help you to understand your limitations and to set boundaries. The only way that you can set boundaries is if those boundaries are tested, right? It's not like we are just born with boundaries and we just know exactly what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. Maybe to some degree, we have a conscious of what's good and what's bad, right? But at the same time, there's so many different versions that people have in terms of their own personal moralities, right? That's why we have philosophy, which discusses those things, and utilitarianism and egalitarianism. Egalitarianism. Am I saying that right? You know what I'm talking about. But we have all of these philosophical structures in order to debate what's good, what's right, what's wrong, in order to understand what exactly is morality, okay? So what I mean by going off into a tangent in all of this is that you're someone who will have those strong boundaries, who's really taking the time to consider what you find good, what you find right, what you find to be acceptable, and you draw the line with them. You make sure that you are not accepting just any type of behavior. Maybe you've gone through circumstances, more than likely you've gone through circumstances, as I just mentioned, where you've had those boundaries tested, and now because of that, you set them strongly. And people really, really appreciate that about you. This can also represent standing up for others as well with the Sun card here, because when I see people who have strong Sun energy in their chart, they will often try to push people towards doing the right thing, or even having some sort of moral or principle or guideline in which they live their life. If they're not like directly influencing them into a certain belief, they will say, hey, have some principles, have some boundaries, like things along the lines of that. Have some respect for yourself, and remain balanced. When we have that Sun card here, if you meet a lot of Sun rule individuals, the ones who are focused on bringing positivity in the world, one thing that they are really great at is creating those boundaries, creating that balance within themselves, meaning like, hey, I'm someone who looks out for others if they need help. If I see that, you know, their basement is flooded, I offer a helping hand. If I'm going to make sure I take care of myself, and that means I'm going to exercise. That means I'm going to eat right. They're going to be the type to say, hey, I don't want to delve into any sort of dubious behavior because I don't think that that's a good thing to do. You know, minus a few things. Like I've seen a lot of sun card or Sun individual people who may like rob banks and stuff, but generally they'll like rob banks to like give to someone who is suffering, which is kind of interesting. So it's like if they're doing something wrong, quite often, not always, it's because it benefits someone in a more positive way. Like, hey, we need more balance. Capitalism is being very unbalanced, and it's giving a lot of wealth to a lot of individuals and leaving a lot of people poor, so we want to create more balance. So people see you as being someone who's able to create balance. And I'm not going to say that you are this sort of angel-like figure who is like perfect in every way. If anything, the combination of the Sun and the Devil card means that you, by any means necessary, will make sure that the scales are balanced, that you will make sure that everybody is getting that fair treatment, that everybody is being understood, that everyone gets a voice in a situation, and that people aren't being overlooked. And you may do it in a way that is a little bit more forceful, and people will like that about you. I don't know if they will say it enough, but they're saying, oh wow, this person actually set that boundary. Oh my gosh, this person actually said something to this individual, and they were not scared of the repercussions. So people will like that sense of bravery within you. People will like that strength that you have, that inner light, that inner guidance, in which you are showing people, hey, it's okay to stand up for what you believe in. And not only that, but I want to move on to the combination of ambition, because these three cards really focus a lot on having strong ambition. When we have willpower, when we have the Devil, which can represent authority and power structures and just power in general, and then we have the Sun card, which is also a leadership card as well. This can represent that you have a strong level of ambition, you know, whether you recognize it or not, but they feel like, wow, you keep going despite not receiving support or receiving certain setbacks or having to go through circumstances. It's like you don't give up, okay? And people will really, really appreciate that about you, because it motivates them to feel more confidence within their decision. And not only that, but they feel like you're somebody who will generally support people when it comes to them stepping into their own power and stepping into their own light. When we have the Seven of Cups here, the Seven of Cups can represent having so many different options, can be this very fantastical card of imagination and illusion and daydreaming and things along the lines of that. But one thing that is amazing about the Seven of Cups is that it represents opportunities and seeing what's possible in the world. So it's like when you're a child, you'll say things like, oh, I'm going to be, you know, president of the Skittle Nation, or I'm going to be the first astronaut, astrologer, or I'm going to be a tiger. It's like you have this wild imagination. And as you grow older, you start to get a little bit more, but I guess the word, I'll say realistic, but you start to you pull away from this fantastical world. And in a way, by pulling away from this fantastical world, you narrow your options. That just generally happens as we get older. But for you, it almost seems like you still keep this element of possibility open. Now, maybe you're not thinking that you're going to be president of Skittleland, but you're thinking along the lines of like, hey, the world is my oyster. What I set my mind to, what I push myself towards, I can get. I can receive the things that I am dreaming about. I have made my vision board, and the things on my vision board will come true. This is that energy of feeling like you have everything in the palm of your hand. It's just a matter of getting there. So people will really appreciate that you still keep that hope alive, that you still push towards your dreams and your ambitions, that you're someone who doesn't limit their possibilities, who will still see a avenue to achieve this dream life or this happy life that you want to create, or happy self environment, whatever the case may be. But they see that within you. They see the passion, they see the drive, they see the fact that you are keeping this imaginary world open for yourself, and that you are doing your best to manifest it into reality. The Page of Cups can often be a very like a naive type of card, but at the same time, people really like that naivete because it keeps them happy, keeps them sort of like, yeah, life is not all, misery and sadness and things along the lines of that. You're like, there's joy to be had. There's beauty in the world. There's excitement out there. There's a world of possibility, and people will appreciate that you always kind of give them a reminder. And it may be a vocal reminder, or it may just be the way that you choose to live your life in a very optimistic or positive way, or a way that's like, I can get what I want. I can keep going. I'm going to do it. Okay. So people love that about you. They love that you are somebody who isn't going to give up. And then one thing that I love about the Devil and the Seven of Cups is both are kind of connected to the feeling of temptation. So one thing that people secretly appreciate about you is the fact that you know how to have a good time, all right? You're someone who is like, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to enjoy myself. These last four cards are all about pleasure and enjoyment and excitement and being wrapped up in the material world and what it has to offer you. So you're not just somebody who's a spiritual being. You recognize that you have material wants as well. You're like, I'm going to eat at this lovely, nice restaurant. Then I'm going to get a massage. Then I am going to go for a walk in a cave somewhere, in some beautiful mystical cave, whatever. I don't know whatever the case may be. I'm going to stroll on the beach. I'm going to go to a museum. Like, you're just having fun. And people will appreciate that you live your life to the fullest. You take chances, you take risks, you enjoy yourself, you make sure that you have a good time here on this planet Earth right now. You know how to let loose, and people like that about you. Okay? People will love that you are someone who can let their hair down and have fun. Okay? So I do want to say that you are someone who will go out and not suppress yourself from your desires. The devil's not all bad. The devil can represent enjoyment and pleasure and, kicking your shoes off and laying on a hammock somewhere and just letting the soft breeze hit your face. It is all about taking that time to nurture your inner soul and also your physical being. Okay. So people love that about you and they really appreciate that. And the Page of Cups is often somebody who can kind of give out this helping hand to offer, hey, do you want to come hang out with us? Or, oh, that scarf looks really beautiful on you. Like very complimentary, very sweet type of energy. So you interact with people in a way that is generally going to be positive and more feel good. And I think people really appreciate that about you. Like you don't come with a lot of negative energy. You try to keep the conversation in a way that is more, I guess I'll say positive. You keep it in a positive way and generally will like to keep it light, particularly with more strangers and things that you know, or just people in general. Maybe not the same with family members. You might get a little deep or deeper with friends. But when it comes to how you're interacting with people in general, people feel that you are keeping a very polite and well-mannered nature, and that you're not coming with a lot of what's the word, forcefulness or disagreeableness. You come across very agreeable for most people, and people will secretly just appreciate that about you. So that is what I have for you, pile number 5. Please let me know if it resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pile, or maybe I'm not the reader for you, but either way, I'm happy you stopped by. Don't forget, I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and I post the time that I go live on the community tab, and you can also vote for what readings you would like to see next. And I will see you next time. Au revoir.